David. So this is coming in. It's probably 1:30 a.m. now. This is like your time of day. I've watched you do it a couple times where you get your inspirations and stuff and you own it, and then your body shuts down. This is my type of time of day too. This is like where my magic lives at, and then I honor whatever the game plans are around it. So, but fresh brain at this time, like with like almost like a lunar cycle type of shit, right? So this is coming to me first, and so I got a lot of places I can jump to, and I know with you and Jabir, it's better to be more sequential in my expressions. So I want to go right to, and I'm gonna have to jump back because the most important part is the part that's coming right now, but pulled me out of the other room because Jabir asleep, right? And my visitor, and the rest of it is stories around it, right? But my visitor is saying that first he's telling me to tell you that this actually doesn't cost you anything because it is just a uh, transmuting payday, and you know this, but transmuting payday money from that Friday every other week and shifting that same exact dollars. It's not a new dollar anywhere, but it just has to be positioned at a different time, right? And so my visitor is saying that if you allocate, but you gotta be from the way I'm seeing it. You'll be able to put your mix in it too. But if you allocate, um, it is actually $2,160 a week, but it's coming from the pay that you would pay out every other Friday anyway, not a new dollar, right? But what it does is it creates predictable behavior from the labor force, right? So I'm telling Jabir, and this is going to you and Jabir, I'm telling Jabir that his job or his value add here at this phase of it, because we got different stuff. His value add here is coming from the law of gender, which me, you and I could talk about, Dave, if you want to. But this is that side of the non-seen or spiritual, but the unseen is the non-seen side, and his law of gender, which is taking two different things like the sperm and the egg, the father and the mother, putting them together and creating that new thing, right? It's also exactly what Napoleon Hill describes when he talks about the law of the mastermind, which is chapter 5 of Your Right to Be Rich, right? He talks about two minds making a third new mind that's because of the two, right? Law of gender, right? All there. If you take the boy girl part of it, just make it energy, right? Two brains that come together and form a third, more powerful brain. Law of gender all day. So this is what my visitor was saying. I'm about to pay Jamir $216, right? Which is $18 times 12. He, first from our experience, so first Jabir, his law of gender is understanding fleet enough to be able to make sure the vehicles were good and that whole thing, and then understanding transmit utility or labor, and then putting those two together at run cuts, and then creating results for us, hours that then are monetizable. But the hours that are monetizable is the result or the baby, right? And it takes the two, fleet availability, gas, all the things that go with the vehicle being cool, license plate issues or whatever, that whole thing, and then transmitting utility, which is drivers. Bow, monetizable hours, right? So one of the things that you and I do is we look at a percentage of monetizable hours based off of what um, the transmit utility side does, right? We tell a nigga, okay, 10 hours, we got the vehicle available for the 10 hours, we got gas that can handle the 10 hours. Now we need the transmit utility to produce 10 hours. And our results is always a percentage of the 10 hours. right? And we say 80% of the 10 hours is par. Anything under 80, let's investigate. They cheating us. Anything over the 80 is all to the good, right? But it's always a percentage of the thing, right? So, that's decent. I gotta. I'm gonna send it as a picture because my brain just said to send 12 hours is 80% of what, and we need that number too, but that's later. So, as I'm talking with Jamir today and interacting, he's scheduled in his world um, from 10 to 8 p.m. Right? That was our time without the approval. Okay? And then the pastor needs nobody to come at 10 a.m. So I told him he had to pick the vehicle up at 8 and then log in at 10 or whatever and do his 10 to 8. And then I'll tell him if we get approved. So I don't know what time he actually picked the vehicle up because we made it available by 8. I don't know what time he actually logged in because we agreed at 10. And then 8 p.m. was the agreed with the thought stop, right? But if he logged in at 10, then if I got the approval, which we did, then the back time would be 10 p.m. If all those factors were inside the agreement, right? Soft agreement. But I put the things in so I could track it, right? So, but I don't know where we are. So the thing that comes up is me and you talk, and we agree on the launching of the qualified qualified cash out. QC qualified cash out. Ooh, okay. QC. Remember that. So now we have parameters. We have the agreement, and he was already in his day when I said, "Hey, we got the agreement," right? So he sends me a message and says he'll be done around 12 midnight. And of course, because sometimes the office is locked and and I wanted to make sure he knew he can get his fucking money. Okay? And so I'm giving you the narrative so that way you can do your deep dive. And you and John Baker talk about it. This is just heavy on me, and I need to get it out how I need to get it out, trying to also honor that y'all kind of got a linear process, but I don't. Mine is jumping around, which was funny because that was just one of the witches in Agatha all together. That's her anyway. So, shit, see, it'd be jumping around and I'd be just like the fucking witch. So I tell him that. So first, I sleep. And I want to make sure we honor this, no matter what happened with the rest of the stuff. Because anyway. So he hits me and says 12, he'll be ready. I tell him I'm wide awake, Jabir sleep, but I'm going to be up to make sure I pay him. So that way on our side we got completion of contract, right? And we're not getting 80% of 10 hours. We're getting 12 hours or we don't cash out, right? Qualified cash out. That's the qualifying part. So my visitor, as I'm sitting here, I get up and Joel, we ain't even start the fucking time yet because it's not till Thursday that it get approved. Joel asked me for the time, so I had him and Jamir as the two people I added after I did the 80 hours that me and you talked about, because I saw the wackiness that looked like it was coming from Friday, because Friday, Ed and Ashley were sick, like went to the doctor sick, so it was a low probability it was gonna show up Saturday. So that gets me to go try to refix that in on for Sunday. So that's how I even pushed before we talked about it, because I knew I was losing at least 2. I put 2 back in, right? Cool. So then Joel, he didn't. When I wake up and I'm asking Jabir how did this run cut go, because I was pretty much gone from the second run cut. Jabir's doing phenomenal. So, but I was off. So I know when I'm off, rest, because I gotta be ready for whatever the stuff is, right? So he gave me the story. Cool. Now I've met temporary defeat, and we may or may not hit the hours. So for me, in my time on the unseen, for Jabir, the Doctor Strange time, I immediately get excited is the word, but I go start looking for the seed of equal or greater benefit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there, we're chilling. Like I said, Agatha, all together was what I was watching, or what jumped in my head, and then I seen a witch that deals with time and unsequencing, which is how my brain works. So my visitor says, because we are paying them from their actual paycheck, it don't cost our company $1 to get this level of commitment from the transmit utility force, which is the labor. So it just matters us having the habit of saving to be able to transmute this illusion, right? The illusion is that it's something special happening, but it's their same paycheck happening on a different day. But we're getting a different level of commitment, which is, instead of a percentage of the 10 hours or the 80% of the 10 hours, we're getting a solid 12, which is 80% of a number I don't know yet, right? So that's that. So my visitor said, what if we allocated 10? So now we got a finite number. If we allocated 10 qualified cash outs every Monday and make it part of the business plan, that will cost the company per check. That will cost, I'm starting to write as I talk now because it's jumping around. Okay. That'll cost the company 10 is 2,160 times 2 is $4,320 per paycheck. However, it's the actual same money we was gonna pay him anyway, but we're getting a higher output and on our weakest day. So that's where it just I'm here now talking, trying to hurry up and get it out before Jamir come to get his money. So that would have to get front loaded and has it so it's always here, so that way we don't never got to cut it off, and we can make it a predictable setting, right? So that's 10 was a number that just came to my head, so we can play with it from there, right? Then out of the 10, my visitor said to have 3 of them allocated to 18, right? Especially with Sundays leaving, and then 7 open to the group, and then if they're not claimed by whatever the time frame, let's say Saturday, right? Then we put it back to the 18, whatever that process is, right? But it's 10. And what 10 does is, and we don't got to make it shift specific. We can make it first come, first serve. So that way we can look at how that shows up. But my visitor said, if we allocate the capital, which is your side, I can paint it and run it because I can see it. And from there, what happens is you have 10 12-hour shifts, and it kind of matter what well, and then if you got 10 12-hour shifts, in the perfect world, you're doing 5 of them on the day, and maybe that's something we may need, and then 5 during the PM shift. No, that works out cool, because then we can, because right now we're not even using heavy. So anyway, so let me keep going. So what that does is it makes the habit of saving important on your side of the fence, to always make sure that the money's here. But what it does for the business is gives us 120-hour Mondays as a baseline. And with that, so as I'm looking at the fleet, because the law of gender, you got the father and the mother, the two brains, however it go. And I know this is my side. One of my visitors was saying is one of the major things I'm doing this season is translating the unseen for Jabir, as he doesn't have his full communication with the ocean. If you watch the documentary with us, the 100-foot wave, Dave, that'll kind of put some connections to it. And then I kind of do it, me and you too. I just share with you as my visits, but that's all from the unseen, right? And then we talk about it, and then when I'm bringing something up that is a point of concern from whatever our topic is, that point of concern or that other perspective normally is coming from the unseen, because we're talking based on what you're thinking about, and then whatever comes in from the unseen is what I did add to the conversation. So I'm doing it with both of you different perspectives, because one is a brother, one is a dad, son. And longer term, that this is what I wanted to get into too. If we do this right, you and I, David, we, on top of producing a phenomenal result that would be based on either one of our trajectories without the other, it also, at a bigger point, if we do it right, it emerge the generations where Jabir's coming in as a link in the chain, and then he's also then locked into your children's development, and then my children and grandchildren, and everybody locks in until somebody shows up with this honor, and then they get themselves kicked off the island or whatever. But that's kind of the longer term value proposition that we both get, is to merge our genealogies without what they did in old times, which was have the wet and shit to make them one family. You know what I'm saying? So to kind of turn them into family without turning them into merging bloodlines. You know what I'm saying? So just you solid. So kind of spiritually, not physically. You know what I'm saying? So and we gotta, that's a whole map out, which is they got to get to know each other. Vacation once a quarter, or biannually, we do something where they around each other and they get a chance to, and then but that's a couple moves down the chessboard. But right now, what my visitor's saying is to get Monday how we want it is to all right. So we got QC 10 QCMs. That's what just came 10. So we the QCM program, which is the Qualified Cash Out Mondays, right? The QCM program, and what it is we have allocated 10 people on a Monday to show up. First, get agreed on it. Then they have to show up with a 12-hour screenshot, right? My brain just said that the inside people who would do 6, right? Show 6 hours, or that that they're not part of it. They can't participate because we need 12. Yeah, that's better, because we want the money. We want the money on the board. Right. Absolutely. That's way better. So 10 QCMs, allocating carving out 3 of them for 18 people. That's not but they can't use the cave hours to engage it. Which is fine, because right now, yeah. Anyway, that's way better. And then the cave people just gotta, yeah. They just not part of it. I have no way to. Now a cave person can come and say I want to do 12, and not work in the cave that day, and then that could only affect 2 people, because there's only one potential cave worker on an AM shift, only one on the PM shift. So they won't be able to. I think I hear the John backing up. So anyway, that's the John to kind of turn Monday into a heavy Monday, and and get it to where we're not getting percentages of a 10. We're turning that into a solid 12, which then becomes an 80% of how much time they got to actually spend on the break or whatever. And which is the thing with Jameer. Like, man, we ain't talking about. First, I had enough time for him to be able to work the time to get it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, yeah. And then from there, you got Wednesday when we launched the schedule for the next week, where the main group then can say, I want to participate in the next week's QCM. You know what I'm saying? And then speak to it from that perspective. So that's my thoughts. That's the stuff that came in here heavy for me right now. Merging creating a mastermind on both sides of our fence is, of course, my longer term goal, which put you and Jabeer together, and then it benefiting my other children if they qualify, your children as they qualify, your first generation, just they end up being beneficiaries of what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? And then if you train them up, then it goes, in my intention, further, right? And same thing here, like Jabeer is earning his own spot, which Sadiq hasn't done. So he's not automatically participating, but he's automatically able to put in the application if he's going to do the work. Where your children, that's why I talk about the 40-30-30 business plan, where Jabeer got the 40 because he's doing it. That my 30 is set for my mom and then potentially my little son. And then your 30 is set in my imagination for your children. So then if it only lasts that one thing with Jabeer and everything from there, that's what it is. And if it has the ability to go to another generation, then we already got the framework built around it, which is just a trust indenture. You know what I mean? Anybody that's going to participate, here go the rules of participation. You know what I'm saying? So that's it for me, though. I'm going to send this send this to you and Jabeer. Probably going to make a YouTube link out of it to make it just a clickable thing versus trying to get it up and then put it in our journal. But I think it's the QCM program, the Qualified Cash Out Mondays. If you allocate 10, I think I think I can build around it pretty decent. And then we got people kind of begging to work Mondays, and then we can almost talk about it. And that's why I'm gonna carve out the 3 for the 18, so we can always even talk about it during. So the pay weekend, you get paid on Friday, get the fuck off the money, and get money again on Monday. Okay, I gotta stop now.